Hello folks, and welcome back to another review and thoughts on. This time, I'm checking out I don't know if you would call this a classic or beloved, because, as I believe it's public domain now, but Devil's Hand, which is a 1961 flick. It's labeled as a horror film, but it's it's more of a thriller. Not really horror, because it's not scary, but it has thriller, somewhat horror elements, I guess, because it basically deals with a voodoo cult who worships this devil god, Gamba, whatever. I swear they say it different times in this movie. But it's directed by William Hole Jr., whatever. So yeah, it's directed by him, and it stars Linda Kristen and Robert Alda. I'm not familiar with either one of these people. Now, when I first saw this, I saw it on a compilation of different horror, old classic uh, horror movie collections. So you can pretty much get this on any of those horror collections. 9 times out of 10, you'll probably get it. But yeah, overall, the movie, I thought the acting was fine from everyone. Linda Christensen, or Kristen, Linda Kristen, who plays Bianca Milan, or Milan Lane, the witch woman, the dream girl witch lady, who is pursuing Rick Turner, who is the lead guy. I will say, out of everybody, mostly her and him are the standouts, but mainly her, not only because she's hot, but because she can act pretty well, I'll say. Pretty good for the role that she was playing. My my cons with the movie, problems with it, is the whole... Okay, so it's it's a devil worship voodoo cult, I guess, or not, I guess. Because I read on Wikipedia, and apparently this was a very low budget film, and you can pretty much tell that. But like what it's dealing with is voodoo, and where she can project herself in his dreams, or should I say, in his thoughts, and he believes are the dreams, and then, but to have that realization of you're dreaming of some hot chick, and then one day you're able to meet that woman or lady, whatever. That's mind's gotta be blown. But and the fact that she's part of a cult, and then this guy literally, you know what? Because he's engaged to this other girl, Donna, who her character isn't really all that interesting either. Don't really know much about her. At least with Bianca, they give some little backstory to her, such as she's been doing this for a while, where she's liked some guy, and then she tries to project her thoughts and, stuff onto him, and I guess those relationships never worked out, so either they must have died, or, there's no way they got away from her, because this whole cult thing, where if you are, the way they punish you is where it's like Russian roulette, except you sit on an altar or on a table, and you have this wheel with spinning swords. Some of them are fake, and then some of them are real, and it's Russian roulette type of thing. And so basically, it's like your great Gamba will choose whether you live or die, or whatever. I'm like, if I was to join this, all for this girl here. And then, but the problem I have with Rick's character is that he's not honest with Donna, let alone with Bianca, because he has Bianca thinking he's disloyal to the group when he's not really, because he's really he's willing to actually, like, he joins, he swears an oath allegiance to them, comes to Sith Lord or whatever, but then he's playing games. He's not really playing games, but he's going back and forth where he's visiting Donna in the hospital because, okay, the movie has this thing where the cult has these voodoo dolls of each member, and I did like this one scene where the store owner of the voodoo dolls, the cult leader guy, where his name's Francis, where Rick takes Donna into the store, and he's picking up the doll, and he sees a doll, it looks like Donna, and the picture, it looks exactly like Donna, and then the guy, the store owner, cult man, he's like, no, that is not her. Because they're insisting that is her, that is Donna. And then, I did like this, but the music ruins it, where it has the whole dun, 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 dun. I know it was the 60s, I know it, but come on. That was a pretty good, creepy scene where he stares at her and the camera pans back and forth to him and then her, and then him again, and then he says, no, it is not. And he says it in a very stern, serious voice and glares at her, and then she was very uncomfortable, but then it does, again, the music sting, and so it was a good scene, acted well, and then the music ruins it. So I will say the music in this is terrible for what it was trying to do. I know it's supposed to be voodoo, so, African, whatever sound, but... And then they got a brother. I'm not one of those, I'm not really a snowflake or anything like that when it comes to... or PC stuff, but... nowadays, but... You got a brother playing the bongos, and he's supposed to be, the voodoo, whatever. But the whole movie, every time we see the only black, well, there's actually, like, a black couple, they're in the background, so they don't, but then you have the black guy, brother on the bongos, just slowly playing the bongos, and then and the way he dies at the end, I mean, it's not funny, but, like, pretty much the movie ends where, they kidnap Donna, because they're under the impression, Rick is still into her, even though he picked her up from the hospital, and they have a nurse there that somehow they're able to infiltrate a hospital and have one of their people pose as a nurse and then pretty much monitor Donna and see if he visits her, and then he does, but the nurse she was watching him and her, so the way he was talking to Donna, such as, Donna, you're only going to make this worse or harder than it needs to be. Because he's about to break up with her and tell her to go away, but the nurse is like, she just left with Mr. Turner. And so then Bianca's mad, and then she's mad and decides to have her own plans of how to get back at Rick. I mean, yeah, Rick. And so she has Donna put under the thing, under the wheel of swords, and then pretty much he tries to plead with her at first, and I've been loyal, and then he saves Donna, of course, and then the movie ends where everybody burns to death, I guess, because everybody's too stupid to get out of the freaking... There's the way Rick and Donna got out, why didn't they run that way, but then they're all, and then Bianca's able to get out. She's able to grab her doll and leave, I guess, pretty much, but then again, even if everybody was to make it out, their dolls, I don't think anybody was grabbing a doll, so they would have died either way, sad to say. But, and then I'm thinking, where's Rick's and Donna's dolls? If, granted, they made it out, but even at the end, like, when Rick is like, we're free of it, and then they drive off, but then we see one last little thing with Bianca saying that's what he thinks, and then it goes into end credits. So, like, but then I'm wondering, where's their dolls? Because she didn't grab other dolls. She grabbed only her doll, and then that was it. So what, is she gonna haunt them? Or try to track him down, and, like, what? And the fact that the store, okay, fine, it's not Donna's doll or whatever. Why would you then, you put it up, and you tell him that the owner for that doll came in when they really didn't. But he lies pretty much to Rick and tells him, oh, the owner picked up that doll. I'm sorry. But then he has the doll, like, right on the shelf a few feet away from Rick, and it's like, if he didn't see that doll if he didn't look, like, right to the side of him and saw that doll and be like, dude, you're lying. Movie over. Because, like, well, that would probably not movie over. You'd be asking some questions. But, like, the guy, the cult leader's an idiot because he just, I'm gonna sit this doll that resembles the woman I'm trying to pretend it doesn't resemble in the sight of the guy who will point that out, who did point that out. Like, he's gonna put it up on the shelf with the other dolls in the corner, wherever, and then poke a nail, whatever, through it so she can end up in hospital. Fine, but why would you put it on the shelf with the other dolls displaying it, pretty much? I'm like, how about you put that way in the back or something, like, or hide it better, or put it in, I don't know, put it in the drawer or something. Like, why do you need to have it out on the shelf where he can see it easily? Which he does later on. He sneaks in the store and is able to save Donna from pain. Because pretty much whatever happens to the doll happens to the person. And they kill a guy in a PI later on. Which is really the only kill in this movie by the cult. Or should I say by the leader guy. But yet, overall, this movie... But again, I liked it, but again, I don't know if you really needed to go in the route of, oh, we're a devil worship cult. Instead, how about we just go with magic voodoo stuff instead and study... We could have had more intrigue of, she's a witch, and... I don't know. But you should have done more with that angle instead of going with this, cult gamba stuff. Like, should have just gone with and that seemed like that was the original stuff they wanted to do, but then they changed it during production or whatever. But yeah, I will say the only really shining spots are Linda Kristen, and her acting and her character was at least somewhat interesting, because we did get some little backstory of she's had experience with this, but the fact they tried to do was the sequel bait ending. Like, come on, I mean, no way. I mean, I would like to see I would have liked to have saw a sequel with her in it and have a different lover of hers or something, but then I don't know. This movie, it was fine. I still like it because I can still watch it, as there's some stuff I think could have been more and explored more, such as the dot projection or astro projection, whatever. But yeah, it's a pretty good, decent movie. It's not a B movie. It's not a bad movie, like a lot of people claim it is.